welcome to the Weekday Refill. My name is Cerissa LaToi. I am the Dreamcaster. I am an author, a seasoned interior designer, and a mentor to Christian interior designers. Today, I want to talk a little bit more about consistency is a way of life. It is the way of life. And more importantly, I want to talk about being rooted and not being rushed. It's a very big difference. Last week I talked some about the importance of rest and the importance of having a rhythm of rest. That might have been last week. I think it was. Nonetheless, I talked about the importance of having a rhythm of rest. And when we have those kind of rhythms that we have in life, that helps us to not be rushed and racing all over the place trying to do things. It is not wise to be rushed. It is not wise to do that. And why is that the case? Why is it not wise to be rushed? Because when you're rushed, you make bad decisions. You make the wrong decisions. You cannot see the whole. You cannot see clearly. You're not making a fully educated and informed decision. Sometimes when we're rushed, we're making decisions out of emotions rather than the facts and prayer and supplication from the Lord. If you're trying to move and hurry up, then when are you giving an ear to what the Lord is saying? So rushing is not a good thing. And as I live out my life of being consistency as a way of life for me before you all, one of the things that really convicted me, I'll say, a few years ago was I ran across this post from Barbara Corcoran. I think I'm saying her name right. She's the cute short-haired lady from the Shark Tank. And she made this post on Instagram. And she said, you meet your 20-year-old self. You're allowed 6 words. What do you say? Man, I saw that post and I sat down and I began to think about what would I say to my 20-year-old self. If I could go back in time and I could tell her, give her some wisdom, right, from what I've learned now in life, in my walk in Christ, in my business, being an entrepreneur, what would I go back and tell my 20-year-old self? And I really thought about it. Now, let me tell you something. 6 words is hard. You've got to drill down real far, real quick. You got to cut out all the fluff. 6 words is not a lot that you can tell your past self. And because I'm telling my 20-year-old self these 6 words, I have to make sure that these 6 words are impactful, that they're poignant, that they are full of action, and will help me avoid the pitfalls that I made in the years thereafter. And so after a lot of time and meditation, and honestly, I want to pause here and say, go and find your own 6 words. All right. And tell me down in the chat what your 6 words were. I would totally love to know. But go and find your own 6 words and then come back. Let's talk about it. So my 6 words were don't rush, be disciplined, and finish strong. And the finish strong part, you heard me yesterday talk about the fact that my mother always was like, finish what you started. And I felt like that was really good wisdom that I needed to make sure that I carried on in all areas of my life. And so that is really great for that being rooted there. But it starts out with don't rush and to be disciplined. There's been many things that I have done that I have rushed in my life. that were bad decisions. I've rushed relationships, right? I've rushed commitments. I've rushed to say yes, to volunteer, and to give of my time. I have rushed to the store and forgotten what I was supposed to get, and then had to come back home and realize I didn't have what I needed. Rushing is not just in terms of not rushing in my career, not rushing in my business, not rushing in that. Rushing can really have an ill effect on every area of your life if you pause and you think about it. So I was like, don't rush. Then I was like, be disciplined. Being disciplined is really key. Yesterday, again, I started talking about consistency, and consistency was key, and all of that. And it's important to have discipline and consistency in your life. It's important to have structure in your life. I read this book by Twyla Thorpe that I have here on the bookcase, and it is called The Creative Habit. And one of the really cool things that she talks about in the Creative Habit book is she talks about essentially giving your creativity a box in which to perform and to excel. And when you create habits, when you develop certain particular habits, i.e., disciplines, you're able to do more and to create more. It actually makes you more free, because you know what you're going to do. So you set up, you do those particular things, those particular habits, and then it frees you up to be able to operate to your full in that whatever particular moment that you're in. And then again, finally, there is the finish strong. If you don't rush, and if you're disciplined, it's a facto, friend. You're going to finish strong, because you're going to finish. Why are you going to finish? Because you're disciplined. Because you have a life of consistency. And consistency in everything that we see in life, in our spiritual walks, in our careers, consistency. Success follows consistency. Success follows discipline. If you go on and you see these designers that have TV shows and things like this, and they're on the public front, or that are in magazines and whatnot, it is because they have been consistent in their craft, and their consistency was followed up by their successes. Their successes were preceded by them being consistent and disciplined in what they did, whether that was pouring into themselves educationally, or whether that was just getting up and doing what needed to be done for their business, for their job, and for their clients. And so I think that that's so great. So, as I said, today we're talking about being rooted, not rushed. So, how do I not rush? How do I not be, how do I be disciplined? How do I not rush, and how do I be disciplined, right? Let me clear that up. So, in order to not rush, it's really important to take some time to, as they say, slow down and smell the roses, right? To be present in the moment. And instead of thinking about 500 moments ahead, there is a time to think about 500 moments ahead, but there's also a time to be present. In fact, the scripture tells us that don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to worry about itself. I believe that's in like Matthew 6 and 33-ish, somewhere around there. But the point is that be present in today. And when you're present in today and in the moment that you're taking care of, then that allows you to slow down and adjust your rhythm. So then, as you're going down and you're adjusting your rhythm, you can see the holes and the needs that your clients have. you can see how you can innovate in certain areas, and what tech and what other previous innovations have come that will now allow for you to be able to take it, push the envelope even further. Your creativity will be able to excel because you are paused and you have your perspective positioned on the present moment and what you are working on. And therefore, you're able to draw everything out of what it is that you're doing so that you can make the best of what is in front of you. That's what don't rushing brings to you. So what I do is I try to set out blocks of time in order to be able to manage and take care of things. I literally set up time within my day to just think. So I am a solopreneur, and I am navigating right now a new rhythm. But a previous rhythm that I had when I was working from home, I actually work from an office now, so I'm kind of recalibrating how and when I have these rhythmic rests, so that I can slow down and think about what I'm thinking about, right? And but when I worked from home, I would take periods of time. I am a lover of cooking. As you all know, I went to culinary school. I've cooked in some professional kitchens if you've been following me for a long time. And I will turn on a little music, or sometimes nothing at all. Sometimes it would just be me and the cutting board, and I am cutting, and I am just, thinking about my projects, thinking about what the Lord is speaking to me about, thinking about my relationships, whatever it is that I'm trying to be mindful of in that moment, so that I don't make any rush decisions. I take that time in that moment really just to kind of cruise with the current, so to speak. Because one thing I know for sure, and two things I know for certain, is that God's will be done. And I'm not trying to run a 100-meter dash to try to complete God's will in my life, because the race that race gonna be over real quick. And knowing me, I'm a little clumsy. I'm probably gonna twist my ankle on the way in that 100-meter dash. And that twisting of that ankle, right, being ill prepared for that type of race, when that's not even what this life is. Like, yes, Paul says that this is a race, but he literally means like something like a marathon or a triathlon or something like that, something that's like really long. Like, think cross country, don't think 100-meter dash, and so it's important to bear in mind that that you just want to create pockets of time within your day, so that you can really recenter, focus on whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you need to focus on, whether it be work related or personal related, and then think about it. Then, as you're thinking about it, pray about it. This is an excellent time for you to commune with the Lord and talk to Him about what say He. While I am in my quiet kitchen in the still of my house cooking, I am like, man, God, okay, what do you want me to do for Mr. and Mrs. So and so? Okay, they have such and such going on, and I know that I can figure it out like this, that, or the third. Like, what do you want me to do? Just a few days ago, I had a client, and we had like a weird corner in their home, and I sat and I'm like, let me try to figure out what I'm gonna do with this. And then I couldn't see through it. I couldn't think myself through it. So I got up and I fixed myself a coffee. I'm a big fan of walking away from what you're working on for a moment. But I got up, fixed myself some coffee, and I just began to mull over and think about just this client's kitchen, just this client's project. and what it was that I could do to be able to take care of this particular issue and concern. And when I sat back down, I said, oh, and I looked at the plan and I said, oh, I don't need to do this, all of this extra manipulation that I was going to try to do. If I just slide this wall this way and we do it like this, boom, done, everything averted. It's as simple as that. Now, if I had rushed it, I would have created an angled cabinet, messed up their storage possibilities, like really just put everything out of whack because I was trying to rush. See, this is the key. What happens and what is so important not for you to rush and instead be rooted is because rushing causes you to disregard the spirit. When you rush through things, you don't have time to hear what God has to say. And now, mind you, I'm an interior designer. I am called to be an interior designer. I am called to serve my clients. So if I'm rushing so fast that I can't even pay attention and figure out what it is that I need to do to help them have the transformation that they're looking for and that they need in their lives, and I'm not listening to God and doing that, what am I doing? I am leaning on to my own understanding, my own skill and abilities, and not on the guy who called me. And we're not doing that. We are not rushing. Instead, we are going to be rooted. We're going to be rooted in prayer. We're going to be rooted in listening to the Holy Spirit. We're going to be rooted in managing our time well. We're going to be rooted in having the appropriate perspectives. We're going to be rooted in taking our time to just be able to see what God has laid before us so that we can see the way that He has laid for us to navigate and shift that change so that we can transform the space. That's very important. All of that requires the Lord. And when we're rushing, He's not in it. Bottom line. And then, as I said, consistency is a way of life. Now, have I been a rusher? Yes. But I've been a rusher coupled with being a procrastinator. Okay. Because I have procrastinated when I needed to get something done, and then I rushed to try to finish and meet the deadline. And as I've said in previous videos and previous shares, that whenever I do that, the outcome may be good because I'm wonderfully skilled, but it's not the best. And simply good is not what God has called us to do. He has called us to transform people's spaces so that we have an impact on their lives daily and their familial lives with each other. That is major. And as I said, when we don't rush, instead we stay rooted, right? And we are disciplined. So that's being disciplined in how we're managing our times in this particular definition. That's being disciplined in whatever endeavors that we do. Perhaps it's how we manage our devotional time, how we manage our work hours, how we manage whatever it is that aspects and areas of our lives that we're managing. How do we manage all of those things? And being disciplined in what we have set up and set up structure for ourselves in order to allow for ourselves to be able to perform at our highest capacities. And I think that that's so important. And then once we do those two things, get rooted, not rushed, be disciplined, then ultimately we are going to finish strong. And that is going to be so sweet. I don't know about you, but when I finish a project strong and I have met all of the brief from the client, the original brief, and they are looking at their new space and they're like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. All the hard work that you did, that I did, that we did, that they did, the contractors, all of that have all culminated to this most amazing thing. And I am so happy and so pleased. It's really changed how I live within my home, all of these things. You hear all of that, and then you see the beauty that you have brought to their space that was broken before, most of the time. And inside, you just bubble up with all of these emotions like, wow, this is amazing. God, thank you so much for giving me the ability to be able to do this. This is gorgeous. I don't know if it's just me. Like, I am sometimes floored with how beautiful my projects turn out in such a great way. But I only can finish strong like that, right? If I am not rushing, right? If I'm rooted, if I'm disciplined, then finishing strong is the only thing that can come from that. And so, as we go through this week and we talk about consistency is a way of life, we're just going to continue this conversation and see what the Lord has to say. But I thank you so much for being here with the Weekday Refill. Again, this refill is a moment for us to be able to pause, to center on God, and refill so that we can serve from overflow. And I want you to never forget this. Interior design is ministry, and you and I are called to serve. So design, serve, thrive. And I will see you tomorrow for another refill. Have a blessed day.